In 2024, I took a trip to Tokyo. It's a beautiful city, but in my opinion, it's very, very gray. So much so that those who work there, the so-called salaryman men, sometimes literally die of exhaustion and work on the streets. But hey, what do you think? Write it down below in the comments, and in this video, we'll talk about it together, and in the end, I want to know what you think down below. As I was saying, in 2024, in February to be precise, I took a 10-day trip to Tokyo, and I found it to be a really gray and very sad city. But you might say, Dimitri, what are you talking about? It's a beautiful city. There are so many things to see. Yes, but guys, I remind you and advise you not to visit the cities only as tourists from a tourist point of view, because they are all beautiful. But think and carefully contemplate the city, especially in terms of living and working. And I saw it as a very gray city. It's a city that really requires a lot of work and a huge amount of sacrifice to be able to create something. And there are also people who literally die from exhaustion on the streets. I love everything about it. Japan, I've always been a fan of anime. Call them cartoons, call them whatever you want. But anime are a bit more for adults. Let's say they deal with more adult themes compared to a cartoon. And I love all of their culture. I love their food. I adore sushi, the real sushi. I like it more than the sushi we make here in Italy. It's truly spectacular. It's a spectacular country that offers so many things. I spent 10 days in Tokyo, and I chose to visit only Tokyo because 10 days in Japan, that's really not much. You only see the more touristy things, and that's it. The classic tourist traps. So I decided to see Tokyo, which is one of the largest cities there is in Japan, with undoubtedly one of the largest populations per square meter in a city in the world. This is a fact. What I saw, though, is beautiful. On one hand, it's colorful, beautiful, joyful, with so many nice things, but on the other hand, it's very gray and sad. I literally happened to see people working in offices, so-called salaries, man. They would come out at midnight exhausted. You could see it on their faces that they were worn out, and they would head straight to the izakaya. For those who don't know what an izakaya is, I mean a small bar where you drink right there next to it. And then you would see them, another one who was stumbling out, trying to go somewhere and bumping into everything. And in the end, he even fell to the ground. Things that I didn't film because it didn't seem appropriate. But for the rest about Tokyo and my trip, there's an entire playlist of I don't even know how many. A video, probably over 20, that tells you all the most beautiful things. Here we're talking about something unpleasant. That is indeed the grind that often sometimes exists in Tokyo, especially from a work perspective. I've had the chance to travel quite a bit, and I've definitely visited a lot of places on average. One thing I try to do is not to literally see a city, like Tokyo, for example. Or perhaps a country where I go to visit, where I travel just as a tourist thing and something that just has that vibe. Yeah, it's cool. That's it. Good. Amen. Done. I try to see these places from a work perspective as well. What would happen if I decided to move to Tokyo? I would find a job. I could work there, pay for everything. Or I would have to work like a slave 24/7 for the big multinationals to pay for everything but die on the street like some people. I've really seen people lying on the street, exhausted salarymen with briefcases. After midnight, the train stopped running. Exhausted with her briefcase as a salaryman. At midnight and 1 in the morning, thereafter midnight, the train stopped running. So if you miss it, you have to sleep on the street or in some hotel. And these people are so exhausted, lying on the street and sleeping on the street. From the perspective of homeless people, I have to admit that I've seen a few. They are definitely doing much better than the homeless in Italy, and especially the homeless in America, let's say. But it's not like they don't exist, so it means they have their problems there too. That said, when it comes to salary, living in Tokyo, you can manage with 700, 600, or even 500 euros a month. So it's not that impossible, and it would be a spectacular place to live. Where to live? If you, for example, work remotely or can work in any case remotely, definitely spectacular, definitely something that could be done. But really living and working there, honestly, I don't know. It happened to me, by the way. There's also a video where I eat udon, the best udon of my life, the little noodles, the ones you make, and I recommend the way to do it. I did it where I was able to talk to a salaryman who worked at the company there, and he told me that the hours are really grueling. Sometimes you even work 24 hours. There are companies where there are even beds. The chairs like these that recline literally turn into a bed, and no one says anything to you. If you fall asleep in the office because the work hours are so grueling, you can easily even take a half-hour nap there and then get right back to work without even moving. And from a human perspective, this is really a very sad and truly unfair thing, all just to bring home the bread. And because if you don't like it, otherwise you'd get fired. So unfortunately, Japan also has its weaknesses and its jobs horrible. At this point, I can't tell you if outside, maybe from Tokyo, there's a calmer environment, calmer, you can survive more. What I can tell you is that even in Japan, they struggle to make ends meet. I personally think that's now nearly everywhere. If it's tough, even here in Switzerland where I'm filming from, just imagine how it is in Japan. While I was there for 10 days living in an Airbnb, I often wondered what would have happened if I had moved to Japan. And from my point of view, unfortunately, it's not feasible. Since I'm a cook, maybe I can find a job. Also, but there they are very, very precise. Maybe even more than the Swiss. They are very, very meticulous. They aim for perfection in everything. And when I say everything, I really mean everything. So as a result, it's very difficult to work there and especially to achieve great results. It's not impossible, nothing is impossible. But their work ethic and perfection are at astronomical levels, maybe even more than Switzerland. The same, which is known to the world for its perfection and attention to detail. I'll wrap it up by saying it was really beautiful and I highly recommend you visit Tokyo. If you have the chance, there are indeed so many absolutely beautiful things. There are indeed so many absolutely amazing things. The trains always arrive on time. They are always punctual. But this apparently also comes at a high price, because there are also so many people who literally work like slaves, who bow to anything you ask. Yes, indeed, it's certainly a deep ethic of respect, but it's also a price to pay. It's probably very, very expensive to live there. If you want to work in Japan, you have to live like that. You have to adapt to their rules, even if you want to do it. In Switzerland, for example, there are no other choices. If you like the idea, it's a culture that's truly and remarkably different, and an Italian, in my opinion, has an incredibly hard time getting used to it and embrace it. Of course, nothing is impossible. This has to be said, certainly. You can absolutely do anything in life. You can get used to anything, but something so rigid, I don't know how they cope, but not everyone lives it that well. There are those who are now used to working with a machine, and then there are those who, as a result, spend their evenings forcing themselves to sleep for 3 hours and then go back to working with a machine. Something that you see in Italy, but very little, really very little. I guarantee you that this phenomenon in Japan, if you're in Tokyo, experience the little streets, the small alleys, not the tourist spots. You experience them on a more amateur level, a bit more like someone who doesn't just visit the main attractions as a tourist. You'll notice it right away. It's not that easy, it's not that great in my honest opinion. And to draw a final conclusion, in all honesty, I don't know if I would ever live in Japan. I definitely wouldn't go there to work. Because from that point of view, you're almost at a level of slavery, in my opinion. Yes, there will also be many beautiful things, but in my opinion, work isn't one of them, especially work in multinational companies. There are many anime and manga that describe it as exaggerated, but it might not be. Sometimes it's toned down, but maybe it's not that exaggerated. In fact, sometimes it's even a bit less so, as not to make it seem like a country that's almost at a level of work, almost like slavery, let's say. So as a result, I don't know if I would be able to do it. Probably not, and I wouldn't want a life like that. Having lived in various countries, I realized that it's really heavy on a psychological and physical level. There are also many suicides in Japan. There are indeed also specific places where people go to do this terrible thing. There was indeed even the whole scandal with Logan Paul when he found and captured on video this person who unfortunately had decided to give up to the most precious thing there is, which is life, because he had work-related problems. He worked so much that he was like a zombie, and so on and so forth. So, guys, Japan is beautiful as a tourist, but any country is beautiful as a tourist. I don't know if it's that great to live there, but doing that routine, doing those things, literally like slaves, I mean, there's no coffee break with 30 seconds. Ironically, here in Switzerland, maybe they're a bit more free-spirited. Then it always depends on the area where you live, the sector you work in. I mean, on many things. But in the vast majority of cases, especially if you're a salaryman, the living conditions in Japan, guys, these are the things. And I'm really sorry about that, because Tokyo is a beautiful city and I'm sure Japan is a wonderful place. But I've really seen it, especially in the last few days, when you finish that whole thing about, wow, it's all new. Wow, it's all cool. Like a country, like a city actually, because I haven't seen all of Japan. Very sad and very gray, especially during the times when everyone is coming home, because it's beautiful. Okay, you don't push each other too much on the trains except during rush hour when they indeed literally cram in like sardines in a can. But also this thing that you can't say anything on the subway, you can't talk on the phone. No one, everyone is staring at their phone. They literally don't pay any attention to you. They absolutely have no social interaction. No one completely socializes on the street. You can easily notice it even in the videos. It's basically an organized chaos. There are just about approximately 1,000 people or so who need to take this train. Now I'll let you hear the silence inside this train, even though we're packed in. Good morning, everyone. It's really beautiful indeed on one hand if you like calm, but very, very melancholic. On the other, that said, what do you think? What do you think about the fact that Tokyo is a very gray city and that Japan, from a work perspective, is almost like slavery, making it a very, very unfair place? Write it down below. So, hey, what do you think? I just told you. And we'll see each other in the next video here on the channel in this series, which apparently I'm really enjoying and I'm very honored by it. See you next time. Bye.